Have you ever felt trapped? Not in chains, not behind bars, but in your own life and stuck in habits you wish you could break? Have you ever looked at someone, a friend, a family member, maybe even yourself, and thought, can people really change? Or are we just who we are forever? Tonight I will tell you a story of a man who was lost, drowning in his own mistakes, until one moment, one decision, changed everything. This story is not just about him. It is about you, about all of us. So, watch till the end for today's lesson. And before we begin, let me know you are here. Drop your name in the comments. I want to know who listens to my stories. One lucky commenter will get a special shout out in my next video. Are you ready? Then listen carefully. Do you ever wonder what it takes to change a life? I mean truly change, not through force, not through punishment, but through wisdom? What if I told you that the greatest transformations often happen in the quietest moments? That one conversation, one realization could turn a man from ruin to redemption? This is the story of a gambler, a drunkard, a man lost in his own desires, and how a single night, a single act of kindness, altered the course of his destiny forever. It was a stormy evening when I arrived at the village of Takanaka. My sandals were in tatters, my robes soaked from the relentless rain. The world seemed drenched in a somber stillness, save for the sound of my footsteps on the muddy path. Then, in the distance, I saw a humble farmhouse, a glimmer of warmth in the cold darkness. A woman stood by the window, her face weary yet kind. She saw my state and invited me inside. I accepted with gratitude. As I stepped in, I noticed something. A weight hung heavy in the air. Something unspoken yet unmistakable. The lines on the woman's face were not from age but from sorrow. Her children sat in silence, their eyes hollow, their mother's burdens weighing on their small shoulders. I asked her, "What troubles your home?" She hesitated, then sighed and said, "My husband, he drinks, he gambles. When he wins, he drowns in pleasure and forgets us. When he loses, he borrows, he rages, he disappears. We never know what will become of him, or us. We have tried every way possible, from medicine to sending him to rehabilitational centers. But no positive outcome came as a result." I listened. I did not judge, I did not condemn. Instead, I asked for something unusual, a gallon of fine wine and a meal, the best she could afford. She looked puzzled. Why would a monk ask for wine? But she did as I requested. That night, as the storm raged on, I waited. And then near midnight the door burst open. A shadow staggered in, his breath thick with liquor, his voice a thunderous slur. "Hey wife, have you anything for me to eat?" he said. I was standing there. So I said, "Yes. Here is wine, here is food. I was caught in the rain and your wife was kind enough to shelter me. In return, I offer you this." The man blinked. This was not what he expected. No scolding, no anger, just warmth. He grabbed the wine, drank deep, and collapsed on the floor. I sat beside him and meditated the whole night, praying Lord Buddha for this poor man who is still in the mirage of the futility of life. When morning came, he woke, his head pounding still. He turned to me and asked, "Who are you?" "I am Gudo of Kyoto," I told him, "and I am on my way to Edo." His face drained of color as soon as he heard that. He had heard of me. I was the emperor's teacher. And yet here I was, sitting on his floor, offering him his wine and food. His shame was instant. He fell to his knees and said, "Master, forgive me. I have wasted my life." I smiled and said, "Everything in this life is impermanent, life is fleeting. You drink and gamble as if you have endless time. But tell me, what have you built? What have you left behind?" He was silent, but in his eyes I saw something shifting, a realization. As if he is waking up from a deep slumber. He bowed his head and said, "How can I repay you for this wisdom?" "Walk with me," I said, "for a while." And so he did. We walked together for 3 miles, then 5, then 10. Every time I told him to return, he shook his head. "Just a little farther," he would say. And then at last he declared, "I will follow you all my life." That man was Mu Nan. He never turned back. And from him, generations of wisdom flowed, from a gambler to a master of ZEN, all because of one night, one moment, One act of kindness. People say change is impossible. They say fate is written, that a man cannot undo his own destruction. But I ask you this: how many people are drowning simply because they've never been given a hand? How many men and women are waiting for just one moment, one word, one act of kindness, and to wake them up? I did not preach. He did not scold. I simply showed a man his own reflection and allowed him to decide what to do with it. So I ask you, who is waiting for your kindness? Who is walking in the darkness, needing only a single lantern to find their way? Perhaps it is you.